The stasis pod hissed open after 500 years of silence, and Jason Cole instantly knew something was wrong. Earth hung in the viewport, but not the blue-green jewel he remembered. This was a corpse of a planet, its surface scarred with ruins that clawed at a sickly yellow sky. The ship's AI delivered its verdict like a death sentence. "Welcome back, Lieutenant. Year, 3247. Earth population, 0. Then the proximity alarm screamed. Something was docking with his derelict ship. Something that shouldn't exist. And when the airlock opened, the most terrifying thing wasn't their alien technology. It was how perfectly they wore human faces. Please wait. Before we start, tap that iCard button in the top right corner and smash that subscribe button. Right now, hit the notification bell so you're first in line when new stories land. Alright, let's dive into the story. Chapter 1. The stasis pod hissed like a dying animal as its seals cracked open, releasing Jason Cole into a world that shouldn't exist anymore. Frost-rimmed eyelids fluttered as his nervous system rebooted in violent surges. His first breath was agony. 5 centuries of cryogenic suspension, leaving his lungs burning as stale, metallic air flooded in. Reanimation sequence complete, chirped the ship's AI, its voice crackling through failing speakers. Year, 3247. Earth population, 0. Emergency protocols engaged. Jason collapsed forward onto the grated floor, his muscles screaming in protest. The cold metal against his bare skin felt alien after centuries of frozen sleep. His vision swam as he took in the derelict state of the Aurora-class scout ship. Wires dangling from open panels. Emergency lights casting everything in blood-red hues. Status report. He croaked, his voice rough from disuse. The AI responded with a burst of static before stabilizing. Core systems at 12%. Life support failing. No contact with Earth or colonial networks for 497 years, 3 months, and dash override. Jason coughed, dragging himself toward the cockpit. Visual scan. Now, the main viewport flickered to life, its cracked screen distorting the image of the planet below. Jason's breath caught. Earth hung in space like a rotten fruit. Its once blue oceans now sickly gray, continents obscured by swirling storms. Where great cities had stood, only jagged ruins remained, some stretching impossibly high into the atmosphere like the ribs of some long-dead beast. What the hell happened? Jason whispered, his fingers leaving smears on the glass. The AI didn't answer. Instead, a new alert blared through the ship, a sound Jason hadn't heard since training simulations. Proximity warning. Unidentified vessel approaching. Signature not in database. Jason's head snapped up as a shadow eclipsed what remained of the viewport. The ship looming outside wasn't human design. Its smooth, obsidian surface seemed to drink in the light, its shape shifting subtly like liquid given form. "Give me weapons online," Jason barked, scrambling for the pilot's chair. Unable to comply. Defense systems offline. The alien ship moved closer, extending a docking umbilical that fused with the Aurora's airlock in a way that made Jason's skin crawl. The metal groaned as something forced the centuries-old seal. Jason grabbed the emergency sidearm from beneath the console, a relic pistol that might as well have been a toy against whatever was coming. His hand shook as he leveled it at the airlock door. With a final hiss, the mechanism released. 3 figures stepped through the vapor. Humanoid shapes clad in form-fitting silver suits that moved like mercury. Their leader removed its helmet with disturbingly human grace, revealing a face that was almost beautiful in its perfection. Violet eyes locked onto Jason's, and when it spoke, the voice was wrong, too smooth, too precise in its enunciation of dead languages. "Jason Cole of Earth," the creature said, its lips curving into a smile that didn't reach those alien eyes. "How fascinating. The last human awakens." The pistol trembled in Jason's grip. "Stay back." The silver-suited figures exchanged glances that might have been amusement. Their leader took another step forward, its boots making no sound on the metal grating. "Put that down, Lieutenant. You're the most valuable relic in the galaxy." its head tilted slightly. After all, humanity has been extinct for 473 years. The gunshot that rang through the derelict ship was the first sound of human defiance in 5 centuries. Chapter 2. The gunshot echoed through the derelict ship like a thunderclap. The alien leader didn't flinch as the bullet stopped inches from her forehead, suspended in a shimmering blue energy field. Jason's breath came in ragged gasps as he stared at the floating projectile. That's not possible. The white-haired alien, Commander Silas, as she'd introduced herself, flicked a finger, sending the bullet clattering to the floor. Neither is your continued existence, Lieutenant Cole. Yet here we are. Her companions moved with eerie synchronization, their liquid metal suits reforming into different configurations as they secured the ship. One pressed a palm against the wall, and the metal flowed outward to embrace its hand like quicksilver. Jason backed against the console, his pistol now useless in his grip. "What do you want with me?" Silas's violet eyes tracked his movements with unsettling precision. "To show you what became of your world. To give your species closure." A bitter laugh escaped Jason's lips. "Closure? You board my ship uninvited, tell me my entire race is dead, and expect me to—" "You misunderstand," Silas interrupted. She tapped a slender device on her wrist, and the viewport shimmered, transforming into a massive display. "We didn't come to take. We came to return what was lost." The screen showed Earth again, but different, populated by glittering cities that spiraled into the clouds, their architecture both alien and strangely familiar. Jason's chest tightened. "That's not our technology." "Of course not," Silas said, her lips curving into that too-perfect smile. "It's ours, built upon your ruins." She swiped the air, and the image changed to show massive arcs launching into space. "Your people left willingly, Lieutenant. Every last one of them boarded these vessels 5 centuries ago." The footage showed crowds of humans boarding the ships, their faces eerily blank. Jason leaned closer, his pulse pounding in his ears. Something was wrong with their movements, too fluid, too synchronized. "That's not how people walk," he muttered. Silas froze the image. "Time changes many things." Jason's finger traced the screen where a child in the footage had turned toward the camera. "That kid has 6 fingers." The atmosphere in the ship shifted instantly. Silas's companions stiffened, their silver suits rippling. A warning klaxon blared as the alien ship detached abruptly, its umbilical retracting with a wet, organic sound. Silas's smile never wavered, but her eyes turned glacial. "You're more observant than we anticipated," she said, backing toward the airlock. Perhaps this was premature. Jason lunged forward. "What aren't you telling me?" The last thing he saw before the airlock sealed was Silas's face melting into something decidedly not human. "Nothing you're ready to hear, Lieutenant." Then they were gone, leaving Jason alone with a ship full of ghosts and a screen full of lies. The AI's voice crackled through the silence. "Alert! Energy signature detected in Sector 17B. Human life signs confirmed." Jason's head snapped up. "That's impossible." The coordinates on the screen glowed ominously. It was coming from New York, from underground. Chapter 3. The descent shuttle screamed through Earth's atmosphere like a dying comet, its heat shields glowing cherry red. Jason clenched the controls, his knuckles white as the ruined continent below grew larger through the cracked viewport. The AI's warnings blared in his ears. Structural integrity compromised. Landing probability 38%. "Shut up and calculate," Jason growled, wrestling with the stick as turbulence rattled the ancient craft. The coordinates from the alien ship burned in his mind, somewhere beneath the skeletal remains of what had once been Manhattan. With a final bone-jarring impact, the shuttle skidded across a field of broken concrete, coming to rest against the rusted skeleton of a pre-collapsed skyscraper. Jason kicked open the emergency hatch, his breath fogging in the toxic air as he pulled on a patched environmental suit. The ruins stretched before him, twisted metal fingers clawing at a sickly yellow sky. Radiation warnings pinged on his wrist display. but the life sign reading pulsed steadily. 500 meters underground. Jason activated his helmet lamp, the beam cutting through swirling dust as he picked his way toward a collapsed subway entrance. The rubble shifted unnaturally underfoot, as if the very ground was hollow beneath him. A sound froze him mid-step, the unmistakable click of a weapon charging. Turn around slowly, Fossil. The voice was human, female, and currently aiming what looked like a jury-rigged plasma rifle at his chest. Jason raised his hands, taking in the woman's appearance, a tattered resistance fighter's garb, her face smeared with grime, eyes sharp as broken glass. The name stenciled on her chest plate read Vega. "You're supposed to be extinct," she spat, the rifle unwavering. "So are you," Jason countered. "The aliens told me." Vega's laugh was harsh. "The Vathri? Those lying face stealers." She jerked her head toward the rubble. "Come see what really happened to humanity. Time capsule." The tunnel behind her descended into darkness, its walls lined with strange, organic-looking tendrils that pulsed faintly. Jason hesitated. "Look, I just woke up from 500 years in deep freeze to find, and I've been eating recycled fungus and fighting mimics for 30, Vega interrupted. She stepped closer, the rifle's muzzle pressing against his helmet. "Your choice, Pops. Walk down with me, or I put a hole in that fancy suit and let the atmosphere do the work." Jason met her glare. "Lead the way." The descent was treacherous, rusted ladders giving way to makeshift elevators powered by technology Jason didn't recognize. The deeper they went, the more the walls changed from concrete to something else. Fleshy, pulsing. Vega noticed his expression. First time seeing a Vathri nest? "Don't worry." Her grin was all teeth. "They know we're here." The tunnel opened abruptly into a cavernous space that stole Jason's breath. Before them stood a massive vault door, its surface covered in hand-painted warnings. Vega punched in a code, the gears groaning in protest as it opened. The stench hit first, unfiltered humanity, sweat, and machine oil. Then the sound. Voices. Hundreds of them. Jason stepped through into a hidden city, its ceilings strung with makeshift lights, its walls lined with generations of handwritten notes. People, real, living humans, turned to stare at the newcomer. A child pointed. "Mommy, is that one of the before people?" Vega holstered her rifle. "Welcome to the last human settlement, Lieutenant. Population, 2,763 and counting." She gestured to the massive screens showing surface footage. The Vathri moving through their perfect cities in stolen human forms. "Now let me show you what those bastards did to our world." Chapter 4. The underground bunker's command center smelled of ozone and desperation. Flickering holograms showed Earth's surface. Vathri moving through their gleaming cities wearing human faces like ill-fitting masks. Jason's stomach turned as he watched a group of them recreate human behavior, laughing too loudly, their movements just slightly off. Vega slammed her fist on the console, freezing the image. "See it now? They're bad copies. Always were." Jason leaned closer, noting the subtle inconsistencies, the extra finger joints, the way their eyes didn't quite track naturally. "How long have they been like this?" "Since first contact," a new voice rasped. An elderly man shuffled forward, his body crisscrossed with scars that glowed faintly under the bunker's lights. "Name's Carter. I was there when they came." He tapped his temple. "Still got the original hardware up here, unlike most." Jason's pulse quickened. "You remember the invasion?" Carter's laugh turned into a wet cough. "Invasion? Boy, it didn't invade. They infested." He pulled up a grainy video. Human diplomats shaking hands with the first Vathri visitors. "Took us months to notice our people coming back. Wrong." The footage showed a senator returning from negotiations, his smile stretching a fraction too wide. Vega crossed her arms. "By the time we realized, they'd already replaced half the government. The exodus wasn't voluntary. It was a goddamn slaughterhouse." Jason's hands trembled as Carter switched to another file. Chaotic footage of humans being herded onto arcs by their doppelgangers. They culled most, kept some 4, spare parts. He gestured to his scars. Took decades to build this resistance. A proximity alarm blared. Vega cursed, pulling up a security feed, silver-suited figures descending through the ruins above. They've found the entrance. Jason grabbed a rifle from a wall rack. How many? Enough to wipe us out, Vegas said, slamming fresh plasma cartridges into her weapon. Again, Carter activated the bunker's PA system, his voice echoing through the cavern. All personnel to evac tunnels. Code black. I repeat. The screen exploded in static as the first blast rocked the facility. Lights flickered, revealing the terrified faces of children being ushered deeper underground. Jason checked the rifle's charge. You have a plan? Vega tossed him a grenade belt. Same as always. Fight like hell and hope some of us make it. Another explosion, closer this time. Dust rained from the ceiling as the first screams echoed through the tunnels. Carter grabbed Jason's arm with surprising strength. There's one last shuttle, modified Vathery tech, can reach their orbital museum. His milky eyes burned with urgency. You get up there, find what they stole from us. Jason shook his head. I'm not leaving these people to die. You already did, Vega said grimly, priming her rifle. 500 years ago. Now, go be useful. The door burst open in a shower of sparks. Silver figures poured through, their perfect human faces melting into something chitinous and multi-jawed. Vega's rifle whined to full power. Go! Jason ran as the first plasma shots lit up the darkness behind him. The last thing he heard was Carter's voice roaring over the gunfire. Find the truth in the stars, boy. Then the tunnel collapsed, sealing away the screams. Chapter 5. The stolen shuttle screamed through Earth's ruined atmosphere, its alien systems protesting Jason's rough handling. Behind him, the last human settlement burned, plasma fires glowing through the thick smoke like dying embers. His hands shook on the controls, Carter's final words echoing in his skull. Find the truth in the stars. The shuttle's AI chimed with infuriating calm. Approaching Vathery Museum Station. Prepare for docking scan. Jason wiped blood from his brow. His own or Vega's, he wasn't sure. The orbital station loomed ahead, its smooth obsidian surface studded with glowing blue nodes. It looked less like a museum and more like a predator lying in wait. Override security protocols, Jason ordered, priming the shuttle's remaining weapons. I want full tactical overlay. The console flickered before displaying the station's schematics. A massive rotating ring divided into sectors. One pulsed red, Human Cultural Preservation Wing. Jason's breath caught. The Vathery had turned humanity's legacy into a fucking exhibit. The docking clamps seized the shuttle with organic-looking tendrils that made Jason's skin crawl. The airlock hissed open, revealing an empty corridor lined with floating holograms of Earth's lost cities. He stepped through, rifle raised, expecting alarms. None came. The museum was deserted. Glass cases displayed mundane human artifacts, a coffee maker, a child's bicycle, a baseball glove, each lit like religious relics. Jason moved past them, his boots silent on the mirrored floor. Then he saw it. At the wing center stood a massive stasis pod, its frosted glass obscuring the figure inside. The plaque read, Final Human Specimen, Pre-Infestation Era. Jason's finger hovered over the release. Looking for someone, Lieutenant? Commander Silas's voice sent ice down his spine. She stood at the chamber's entrance, her silver suit now flowing like liquid mercury. Behind her, a dozen more Vathery emerged from the walls, their human disguises melting away to reveal chitinous limbs and too many eyes. Jason leveled his rifle. You missed one. Silas's laugh was a chorus of clicking mandibles. Did we? She gestured to the stasis pod. Open it. The glass slid away with a hiss. Jason's stomach dropped. The figure inside wore his face. Same scar above the eyebrow. Same crooked nose from that bar fight in basic training. Clone, Jason whispered. Silas circled the pod like a shark. Original. The real Jason Cole, frozen before the great harvest. Her violet eyes gleamed. You're just spare parts wrapped in memories, Lieutenant. A puppet we left sleeping in case we needed authentic human reactions. The rifle trembled in Jason's hands. Bullshit. Then why? Silas purred. Do you remember Vega and Carter so clearly? She tapped the pod's display, pulling up footage of the bunker's destruction from 500 years ago. You only woke yesterday. Jason's vision swam. Flashes of memory that couldn't be his. Vega's laugh, Carter's stories, the resistance that fell centuries before his ship left dry dock. The Vathery closed in, their true forms clicking and shifting. Silas extended a bladed limb. Don't worry, we'll put you back when we're done. Jason's finger tightened on the trigger. The stasis pod's occupant opened its eyes. Chapter 6. The stasis pod exploded outward in a shower of glass and freezing vapor. Jason barely had time to register the impossible sight, his face staring back at him, before the original Jason Cole lunged with feral speed, tackling Silas to the ground. Run, you idiot! The original roared, his voice raw from centuries of disuse. Jason stumbled back as his doppelganger wrestled with the Vathery commander, their forms blurring in a tangle of limbs and chitin. The other Vathery hesitated, their multifaceted eyes darting between the two humans. Silas's mandibles flared. Kill the spare. Jason fired without thinking. The plasma round took the nearest Vathery in what passed for its head, sending ichor splattering across the pristine exhibits. The original Jason grabbed a shard of broken stasis glass and drove it into Silas's thorax. Still think we're easy prey? He snarled. Chaos erupted. The museum's alarms wailed as the remaining Vathery surged forward. Jason and his counterpart fought back to back. Two identical soldiers separated by 500 years of nightmare. How are you alive? Jason shouted over the gunfire. The original laughed bitterly, snapping a Vathery's limb with brutal efficiency. They kept me frozen until they needed fresh DNA samples. He tossed Jason an alien pistol. Turns out copying humans gets harder when we're extinct. A plasma bolt seared past Jason's ear. He returned fire, hitting a display case marked human social rituals. The explosion sent wedding rings and birthday candles flying like shrapnel. Silas rose from the floor, her silver suit reforming over the wound. Enough! Her voice vibrated through the chamber at frequencies that made Jason's teeth ache. You're outnumbered, outgunned, and out of time. The original Jason wiped blood from his mouth. Yeah, but we've got one thing you don't. What's that? Silas hissed. Actual fucking creativity. He slammed his fist onto a console, activating the museum's emergency protocols. The gravity generators failed instantly, sending exhibits, Vathery, and both Jasons tumbling into weightless chaos. Jason grabbed a floating support beam, his stomach lurching. His counterpart floated nearby, typing frantically on a command pad ripped from the wall. What are you doing? Jason yelled. Override codes Carter stole decades ago, the original said, his fingers flying. This station's got a self-destruct sequence, in case of contamination. Silas shrieked, her form elongating as she pushed through the debris toward them. You'll die too. The original Jason's grin was terrifying. That's the point. The pad beeped. A countdown flashed across every screen in the museum. 3 minutes and counting. Jason's counterpart tossed him a thruster pack from a nearby emergency locker. Get to the shuttle. There's coordinates programmed in. Leads to something they don't want found. Jason strapped it on. What about you? The original Jason loaded his last plasma cartridge. I've been dead for centuries. He kicked off towards Silas, weapon blazing. Now go. The last thing Jason saw before the thruster pack carried him away was his face, older, fiercer, and utterly at peace, standing alone against a tide of silver nightmares. The shuttle bay doors sealed behind him just as the first explosion rocked the station. Chapter 7. The shuttle tumbled through space, its stabilizers damaged by the museum station's explosion. Jason wrestled with the controls as the navigation screen flickered to life, displaying coordinates that made his breath catch. A location just beyond Pluto's orbit. Estimated arrival, 6 hours, the AI droned. Jason slumped in the pilot's seat, his hands still shaking. The original Jason's final moments played on loop in his mind, that fearless charge against impossible odds. He examined the data chip his counterpart had slipped him during their chaotic escape. The shuttle's comm crackled unexpectedly. "Think you're clever, don't you?" Jason's blood ran cold. Silas's voice, though laced with static and pain, was unmistakable. "You should be dead," he whispered. A wet, clicking laugh. "We're harder to kill than that." The transmission showed a partial feed, Silas's true form barely recognizable. Half her carapace burned away. But so are you, apparently. Jason tightened his grip on the controls. "What's waiting at these coordinates?" Silas's remaining mandibles twitched. "Our greatest failure." The feed cut abruptly, then returned with a new image, a massive derelict ship floating in the darkness. The first human ark, the only one that fought back. The transmission ended just as Jupiter's gravity well grabbed the shuttle, pulling it toward the outer system. 6 hours later, Jason floated before the ancient vessel, the Odyssey, according to its fading hull markings. Its size dwarfed even the Vathery stations, its design a strange hybrid of human and alien tech. The airlock hissed open at his touch, as if expecting him. Inside, the corridors were lined with frozen corpses, humans in stasis pods, their faces twisted in silent screams. At the ship's heart, Jason found the bridge and the truth. The captain's log played automatically when he entered. Final entry. The Vathery promised paradise. Instead, they turned our ships into processing facilities. The screen showed horrific footage, humans being dissolved into raw genetic material, their memories harvested like data files. We've sabotaged the Ark's systems. When they wake us at their homeworld, they'll get a nasty surprise. Jason's stomach churned as the final image appeared. A star map with Earth at its center, surrounded by hundreds of blinking red dots. Not arcs, bombs. The comm crackled again. Silas's voice was weaker now. They never reached our homeworld. The failsafes activated mid-jump. A pause. "You're looking at the only weapon that could destroy us." Jason studied the console. The Odyssey's drive core still pulsed with unstable energy, enough to wipe out every Vathery nest on Earth if detonated. Silas's final transmission was almost gentle. "Finish what your ancestors started, human." The console required one input, a DNA sample to verify authorization. Jason pressed his palm against the scanner. The countdown began, and that was the end of the story. Comment below if you want the next chapter, and hit that like button. Please subscribe, turn on the bell, and as always, keep the last light burning.